Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Happy March 1st. I don't know why March 1st doesn't have a name to it. May 1st is May Day. Shouldn't this be called March Day? I don't know. That's what I did today, though, was march, or rather walk, all over downtown in Cuenca today. It is the first day of Carnaval. So what that means is kids were out in full force, and tomorrow's going to be worse. What happens here during Carnival is kids gather up as many eggs as they can, and silly string, or the Ecuadorian equivalent to silly string, and also water balloons. And they will bombard everybody that they can with it. This city ordinance a few years ago had to warn the kids, do not, hit old people. The elderly need our respect. And also do not hit a gringo population that are very old here, because no one knows what's going on, and it's kind of freaky when all of a sudden kids are chasing you down the street, throwing eggs and water balloons at you, which is like really to wish you good luck, but it doesn't feel like it when it's happening. So basically, they have that ordinance. But today wasn't a good day for me to look younger than my age. I didn't get hit, thanks to God, but I did actually almost get bombed by a water balloon from a little kid on a balcony above me. He miscalculated, and I guess he was just dropping water balloon bombs on people. Oh my God. I mean, if I had... Oh, hey, I do. Actually, I live on the third floor. I could be throwing balloons at people out my window. The 1 week I could do that and be socially inappropriate without anyone saying anything. Oh, yeah, it's brilliant. Oh, God. I wish I could, beam cars, but I'm not going to do that. I don't want anyone to get into an accident. Oh, yeah. Well, welcome to Carnaval. I guess last year I totally missed it. I heard about it like a week after the fact, and I'm like, oh man, the 1 week I don't go downtown. But yeah, so it was cool. I mean, I'm glad that I learned about it today on the first day, and now I'm trying to decide in the next week if I want to go somewhere else. But this is a week-long celebration until next weekend, so it's like almost like a 10-day thing. So I look forward to I look forward to going through this week. I may go to Loja, which is 4 hours drive from here. It's another mountain town, but smaller, and it's kind of on my mind. They have excellent coffee. I've bought a lot of Lojano. In fact, today I bought 2 pounds of Lojano coffee for $8, $4 a pound. And that's only because the family that sold it to me owns the farm, and the men folk are out, harvesting the beans and roasting them, and they bring them into town, and the women folk are grinding them up and selling them to the public, and they have a little cafe, and oh my God, it's so good. It's incredible. It's incredible coffee. It's a medium roast, and they only have the one. And then I have another place I go to that has medium and dark roasts. And I'm in coffee heaven over here. All right. Yeah, you can tell that I sound maybe sick or like I have allergies. I was downtown breathing in exhaust a little bit, but I avoided most of it. I honestly believe that this is Ascension flu. Right now, I believe that is what I am suffering from. I took an allergy pill. It's not touching it. So, and I'm not sick. I feel great. I just sound weird. So sorry about all the sniffling that may be happening over the next, 45 minutes to hour. But I want to talk a little bit about the Ascension flu. A lot of people report being extremely tired during this time. And you might be really, really tired like yesterday and today, or you might be very, very energized. The stuff that's going on with the astrology this week, if that's what you're tuned into more, you're going to have a ton of energy. But also, we've been bombarded with plasma waves lately, so at the same time, you might be tired. So why are we sleeping during Ascension so much? Why do we feel the need to, even though at night we're not sleeping, during the day we're really tired, or if we do sleep, when we finally lay down to sleep, maybe every other day, it's for a long, long, long time. So why is it? What's happening there? I was thinking about it and I was meditating on it, and the answer I got was that we are processing information. Now, if you're just a regular bloke running around town and you realize, oh man, we're ascending and I think I'm ascending, and you're not particularly spiritual, that you're just kind of going along with it and you kind of know about it and you think, all right, cool, that's awesome, we're ascending, and you're not here to actually work on the ascension. If you're not a light worker specifically, the information that you would be processing would be, like everyone is, like from the sun, but you're going to process it maybe in a different way. It's going to just help you go through all the layers of your past, stuff you've stored in your body, and you're going to have everything. Like everyone is having this, but if you're not specifically a light worker, you might be really curious, like, why am I sleepy all the time? And it's just because you're processing information. You're probably having crazy vivid dreams. You're having a lot of really strange things come up, and ideas and memories and emotions that you haven't felt in a long, long time, maybe years, maybe decades. And that's what's going on. You're processing the information. Now, if you are a light worker, what's happening with you is that you're processing information the same as everyone else, but on top of that, there's always added more stuff, right? So what happens is when you are processing the information like normal, like everyone else, you're also holding the light. It's almost like you've swallowed a mini sun and it's just sitting there in your stomach, and that's why our stomachs look so big. We look like we're pregnant. Men too, men and women. It's not a gender specific thing. And it's because we're holding that light inside our bodies and we're releasing it a little bit at a time so as not to overload the rest of humanity, especially the ones who are unawakened yet, the ones who don't know what the flock is happening. So basically, we are giving birth literally, and that's why we look like we're pregnant. We're literally giving birth to a new world. We are the mothers and fathers of the next phase of human evolution. Wow, makes it sound super important, huh? I guess it's because we are really important, Everyone's important to God, because if we weren't important to God, we never would have been created by him in the first place, right? Or her. So, let's see here. I have a list. Part of the Ascension flu that has been coming up for me and for other people a little bit, you might have already gone through it. You might be going through it in a few days, or maybe you're going through it now. We're all on even though we're all on the Ascension path together, we're all experiencing different things at different times, because we're unique individuals and we have different things to process, and we process differently and at different paces, So basically what's happening with the Ascension flu is some of the signs and symptoms, obviously, you hear my voice and my sinuses and, my sniffly. Sinuses have been an issue. Feeling like you have a cold, but you don't. Having extremely blurry vision out of nowhere, going, wait, what happened? Like, crap, I think I need glasses. Damn, there's another thing I got to pile onto the plate this week, just go over to the eye doctor and get some glasses. And then in a couple of days, it just completely clears up and you're fine. And you're like, what? And you could see better than ever out of nowhere. I don't know if we have miniature chakras in our eyes. That'd be really cool if we did. But I'm just imagining, like, how we can make our eyes like hypnodiscs spinning around and laser shooting out. That would be super cool. Probably not ever going to happen. But wouldn't that be cool? But it'd be like something right out of a comic book. But just your vision adjusting and readjusting and going in and out and being blurry. And I mean, some days I just can't even freaking hardly see at all. And then the next day I see perfect. So eye gunk. I don't know what else to call it. It's just the junk that gets in the center of your eyes, like sleep, when you wake up and you can't, your eyes are crusty and weird and you can't. I mean, I didn't have this I used to have it all the time when I was younger, and then I didn't have it for years and years and years. Well, it's back, and I don't know why I have it. I don't know what's happening. It's there suddenly out of nowhere. And right before I sat down to record this episode, my eyes started leaking like I was crying, and I wasn't. I wasn't even upset. They just started leaking and leaking and leaking. Just almost, it looked like I was crying. It was right down my face. I wasn't having any emotion one way or another that was, strong, that would warrant such a physical reaction. But it just happened, and I think that's part of it too. I mean, it might just be, that's why when you what happens when you cry and then all of a sudden you get a runny nose too, so it feels like everything is running off your face. We have lacrimal ducts in the part of your eye that's closest to your nose. Those little tiny weird little things, if you've ever looked in your eye, they're like little tiny pockets. They're really little, and they're usually pink or kind of a tan color, depending. And they release, that's how you cry. That's where the water comes from, like your saltwater tears come from that. And sometimes there's an overflow in your eye and it goes down back your sinuses, and then you get a runny nose, and that's where that comes from. And the salt in the tears breaks up any mucus in your sinuses, and then you just, when it rains it pours. It's like you need Kleenexes for your eyes, Kleenexes for your nose, then your throat gets all choked up and you're just like a mess, But that's what's happening. It's your lacrimal glands. And I'm wondering now if my lacrimal glands aren't just trying to cleanse themselves and detox, because the rest of my body has been detoxing from various things. Intense pain. My entire body has been riddled with pain for hours. Now that could be because I was walking around downtown and standing around a lot. I was out looking for some yoga pants, because my yoga pants that I have from Old Navy from like 6-7 years ago, well, actually they're probably 8 or 9 years old. They have seen better days, and I bleached my floor a couple months ago, and I got little spots of bleach on them, and they just, I need yoga pants. I need exercise equipment, exercise gear. And I just can't find anything decent here. Everything is like skinny jeans. Everything is skin tight, and it's like, I don't want to show off my body just to, be comfortable or whatever, or exercise, and I just feel like, I don't know, I may have to just break down and go pay a tailor to make them for me custom, which there's a lot of people who do that here, which is cool. It's really cool, actually. But another Ascension flu symptom that I've noticed lately is that a lot of weird old memories have tended to surface. So there's a lot of old memories, like you might be remembering early childhood now, and you might be remembering stuff you haven't thought about in, 16, 15, 20 years, 30 years. For me, it's been 47 years. I'm remembering stuff from when I was a baby, when I was 3 years old. I remember the way the sunlight came in the window in the afternoon and the way that it streaked through the window, and it was like in specific rays. And I remember thinking how magical that was, and it made me almost cry. And then when it hit the ugliness of the carpet, and the carpet was so ugly, it was like 70s green. It was like a high-low shag rug. It was a high-low shag pile rug. It wasn't like a shag rug where it's shaggy. It was like high and low pile, so it's like basically like you're walking on a sea of old moldy broccoli. I don't know. But I mean, when I was a kid, I didn't think about it, but now that I'm looking back on it, I'm all, ew, that was kind of weird. I think everyone in the 70s was just high. Stuff that they came up with was crazy. But I love it now. I mean, I look back and I get nostalgia for it. And I had a weird memory of my dad's mimeograph machine. Now, if you're young, you're not going to know what the hell I'm saying, but, probably. But my kids don't even know. My kids are very well versed in all things 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s. I made darn sure they're born in the 2000s, but I wanted them to be educated about pop culture and attitudes and social revolutions that have occurred. So my kids know about all the stuff. But before there were copy machines, there were mimeograph machines, and you would literally take a photograph of one and burn the image. Literally you would burn the paper with the image of the other picture, the other paper. So my dad had to make copies because he was in the insurance business. And sometimes he would leave the paper in the mimeograph machine a little bit too long when he'd go out to feed Kimmy, our cat, or he'd go out to just open up a beer or smoke a cigarette out on the porch, or, just various little tasks he had because he was bored AF, being in that hot little laundry room. It was hot in the daytime. In Southern California, it was very hot there. And so sometimes the mimeograph machine would be on a little longer, and I remember the smell of burning paper, and I haven't had that memory in 47 years. And I just had that today. I was like, what the hell? And then another thing I remembered was when I was in my 20s, there was a shirt that I had that was really kind of sexy on me, and I felt good wearing it. It was kind of low cut, and I had a memory of standing out waiting for the bus, and the bus was 10 minutes late. And I remember thinking, oh, crap, I'm going to get sunburned on my chest. And I was a little annoyed by that. And it was like a weird memory I had. And then I thought about this shirt. And then I had another shirt that I wore that was the same color, green. And I got really inexplicably sad. And I'm like, I really miss that shirt and I don't have it anymore. And I got a tear in the corner of my eye, which is insane. It's just a shirt. What the hell? Why am I so attached to a damn shirt from 30 years ago? And so I questioned myself, why? And what happened was my subconscious mind came back with the answer. It's because you missed having all the potential in the world ahead of you. That was super powerful. That was such a powerful insight. Because I remember when I was, in my 20s, when I was in my young, early 20s, I was like, I have the whole world ahead of me. The world is my oyster, even though oysters are disgusting. They do make, pearls. So, I just felt like, the rest of my life is going to be so great. I'm going to get out of college and life is going to be wonderful. And No more struggle. After I got my education, hey, I could do everything I want, write my own ticket, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, I've had a hard life, but I've had a very interesting life. And you know that old Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times. I think we've all been cursed with that one. But honestly, I just feel like this is an ascension symptom. It's got to be. Stuff that I haven't thought about in years, stuff that wasn't of any consequence, except now looking back, my father has been dead for a long time, like 15 years or something, and I really miss him, and I miss him back then, and I miss his weird brown suits with wide yellow ties. Like, what were you thinking, man? But and his cowboy hat. Oh my God, his cowboy face was just phenomenally embarrassing. Oh my God, because we lived in LA. I mean, you're not a cowboy if you live in the city in Los Angeles, it's ridiculous. You don't need cowboy boots, Dad. Oh God, it was ridiculous. But, yeah, imagine that with the gold chains on a hairy chest and a shirt buttoned down to his belly button. That was with a cowboy hat and boot. I mean, like for real. With a bolo tie on the hairy chest as well. Sometimes it was either that or the gold chains, or sometimes everything. And he had a pinky ring that was gold. I mean, my dad was just full on 70s. He had long hair. He grew his hair long. He grew a giant beard. Oh, it was ridiculous. Oh, but I miss him. I miss him so much. He was a good man. Very good man. Anyway, but all these weird old memories, just weird stuff that you just haven't, that you thought was no consequence. You didn't think of it either way. It's all coming back. We got to release, relax, and let it go. And the way to do that is to have it bubble back up to the surface, remember it, and then let it go. So, I mean, really, it is what it is. So yesterday we had, for our Schumann Resonance, it was mostly 20 hertz, maintaining the whole day, on and off, but mostly the whole day was 20 hertz. 40 hertz, as you know, is the lowest rung of the fifth dimension. And we had a massive spike at 85 hertz. Today we've been just maintaining slightly under 20 hertz with a strong peak at 50 hertz today. And that's from the Italian Reporting Center. I usually use that website. They're actually putting it in words instead of just the graph, which is a little confusing, but anyway, I've been thinking about the way that the sun is giving us light and sending us plasma waves and gamma rays and everything that's coming our way. There is a giant solar flare that just hit the earth. A lot of people's GPS was affected. There's a lot of activity. This morning I woke up with the sun was coming through my sunproof curtains as if there were no curtains at all. It was so strong today. The light filled my body, and I could only feel my light body, and my actual body was absolutely numb. I couldn't even feel it at all. And I just was really basking in the glow and the rainbow light that was coming my way. And the word rainbow has come up quite a bit lately. I don't know if it has for you. It has for me for sure. And there's a rainbow bridge that sometimes people are able to see now. I don't know what that means. I want to look it up and talk to you more about it later. But the packets of light that are coming to us are rainbows. It's like rainbows of light, and they're like psychedelic neon ultraviolet light that you can't see with your eyes. You can only see with your third eye when it opens up. And so it's crazy. But how long does it take for light to reach us from the sun? Well, the sun is 93 million miles away from us, or 1 astronomical unit, That's how we measure all astronomical units, is the distance between here and our sun, basically. So that is 1 astronomical unit. And we're 93 million miles from the sun, and light travels at 186,282 miles per second, which is basically, light should be traveling to us and getting to us from the sun in half a second. Intense us then. 93 million miles is exactly half of 186,000 miles. So why doesn't it reach us in half a second? There's a delay. And how long is the delay? The delay is 8 minutes and 20 seconds. It's very weird, right? So why does it take so long? Well, that's how fast light travels in a vacuum. Well, outer space is not a vacuum. I mean, if space was a vacuum, there wouldn't be so much debris flying around. All right, all that build-up for a stupid joke. I've been watching dad jokes on YouTube with my son. And I made that one up today. All right, so basically, though, it takes about 8 minutes, 20 seconds to reach us. And I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I'm glad it's so far away that's not, burning us up. But we're getting everything, man. Gamma rays travel faster than light, possibly, but light supposedly is the fastest traveling thing in the universe. So, I don't know. I mean, we're getting it all, man. I feel it, like, even when the sun is down, it's on the other side of the earth, I'm still feeling rays from it coming this way. I'm still feeling it. So, it's a good thing, and the way to handle it when you start to feel overly tired is when you start to process the ascension. It will become worse when you resist it, when you're like, and then there's like, you're creating friction in your body and drag in your body, and that will literally drag your ass to bed. Because when you have resistance, that's what creates more. When you have resistance in electricity, if you have an electrical line and you have resistance in the line, that's going to create heat. And if there's too much resistance, it could create a fire. That's how electrical fires start, which is weird. That just came to my mind right now. I think God is working through me right now, because sometimes I'm saying things that I didn't write down and I didn't plan to say. But that might be relevant to some of you out there, especially the men that are listening. I hope that there's men listening. Someone asked me today if my show is for men or women, and I'm like, it's for humans, It's for aliens and extraterrestrials and, animals too. And Slowpoke the turtle. This podcast is for him. It's for everybody who wants to hear the information. So when I come back, I am going to tell you a very private story about me. It's a very intense story. But at first, I'm going to give you information on what it is, on what Kundalini is. So stick around. The next half of the show is going to be about Kundalini. What does a Kundalini experience feel like when it wakes up? That's what I'm going to discuss, because, I'll tell you in the next half, but why I decided to do this and why it's necessary. But a lot of people are curious about it. A lot of people have been asking. So I'm going to tell you, coming on up in the next segment. All right. After this. Hey, you. Have you ever thought about having your own podcast like me? Was it even a New Year's resolution? For me, it sure was. But as I've been looking into this for months, I was daunted. There's so many questions I had. When I was trying to get this off the ground, I was wondering, how do I record the episode? How do I get it across all the platforms? How do I get my podcast on Apple Podcasts when I don't even have an iPhone? How do I get it onto Spotify and all the other places? How do I get people to listen? And how do I make money from my podcast? How do I edit it? Oh my God, I had all these questions, and I was so confused until I discovered the simple answer is Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free, and it is ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you can get paid to podcast. All you need to do is record it. You don't have to go out and look for people to advertise on your show. They help you. So basically what I like about podcasting is I don't have to have a video of myself. You don't know if my hair is dirty or if I'm still in my pajamas or even if I'm wearing makeup. Haha. And it's so easy. I could do this from the comfort of my own home in my living room using this amazing app right from my cell phone. So easy, right? So if you've always wanted to start your own podcast and make money, by the way, doing it, please go to anchor.fm/start. That is anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters that are already using Anchor. Again, that's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast, and I can't wait to favorite you. Woohoo! Let's be broadcast podcast buddies. I'll see you there. All right, guys, we're going to jump right into this. I'm going to try to keep it under 30 minutes, which make the whole show an hour long. Kundalini in the Hindi language means coiled one. And your Kundalini energy has been referred to as the sleeping serpent, or the sleeping giant, or the sleeping, not giant, but dragon, the sleeping dragon, or the sleeping serpent. Usually it's referred to as a snake or a serpent. And the energy is kept in your sacroiliac region, which is between your first and second chakras in your pelvis. And I say sacroiliac because there is two bones that fuse together to create your pelvis. And in the front, there's a little part called the pubis symphysis, and that's a cartilage, a very, very hard cartilage. And when you are a woman and you are going to give birth, the hormone oxytocin will in vast amounts, and that pubis symphysis part that holds your pelvis together gets really flexible and rubbery, like a rubber band, and it stretches out so the baby can come out. And then afterwards your pelvis goes back and never to the same place it was, which is weird, but it goes back for the most part. And then the pubis symphysis over time becomes hardened again, and it's a hard piece of cartilage. But it is your hips are a movable joint, but it's hard to move them, generally speaking. And there's some exercises you can do. I might go over that in another episode, actually, about exercises you can do to release your hip flexors, because people have a lot of sciatica and lower back pain, especially during the Ascension symptoms. So it's a possibility. I could go over some exercises or give you, I'll probably give you a place to go buy a program online, to, because it's super detailed. And anyway, so that sleeping serpent is in the sacroiliac area, mostly back towards the back part of your pelvis, which is almost kind of shaped like a heart. And it's called your sacral, or your I call it sacred region. And why is it sacred? Well, first of all, that's the area of your body where you create life. That's how you have a baby, man or woman. Everyone has it, this Kundalini energy. And it is the life force energy. This is how you use, it's also called the creative energy. So if you're a very creative person, you have a lot of Kundalini energy going on. That's also why people that are super creative tend to have a super high magnetic quality about them, because people sense that sexual energy, and you don't have to use the energy for sex. I mean, you could store it up and use it for meditation or creating a symphony, or if you're an actor, you would be using that to act in the movie and create a new character, or if you're a writer, I mean, you're always using that energy. You don't live unless you have this energy. Not everyone is creative, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean you don't have the energy. If you are not creative, but you have a lot of charisma, you still have a lot of that energy. So it's okay to have it. It's, it's okay to not have the creativity. It has nothing to do with it either here or there, because everybody came here for a different purpose. Otherwise, life would be super boring if we were all the same. And so this sacroiliac area is where the Kundalini energy remains for the majority of your life. In most people, or a greater majority of the people, it will never rise up. The sleeping serpent will remain sleeping in most cases. But I have a feeling, I have a sneaking suspicion that a lot more people are going to be going through this. So I'm going to tell you a few more things about it, then I'm going to tell you what happened to me. Because when your sleeping serpent awakens and the Kundalini energy starts to rise up your spine, or rather your Sushumna Nadi, which is a channel right next to your spine, what happens is a lot of people don't know what to do with the energy. And they don't know what's happening. They freak out, and it goes back down. And that was your chance to be enlightened a little bit, or at least, one rung up more on their ladder. A lot of people don't know what the hell's going on, Oh, I think you're barely down, take an aspirin or something, So if I tell you guys what's going on with it and what to do when it starts to awaken, then quite possibly everything's going to go smoothly for you, and you're going to know exactly what to do, how to handle it. And when it happens, you're going to be golden, like the sun, baby. So a lot of people over the ages have wanted to know how to awaken the Kundalini energy, because life is just easier. When your Kundalini is awakened, your vibration is higher, and you're living in a higher level. You're living at a, better level, basically. It doesn't mean you're in the fifth dimension when your Kundalini awakens. Mine awakened over 18 years ago, and it rose up all the way. A lot of people have been trying for years and years and years to awaken it. Raja Yoga is the royal road. Raja means royal in Hindi. And that is through meditation and lessons and kind of submersing yourself into the spiritual realm, kind of like if you were going to listen to my show every single day and I was talking about this exact kind of stuff every single day. For the most part, I am, but I mix it up quite a bit. I talk about health and I talk about relationships and extraterrestrial contact, which is going to be part of my story today, which is hilarious and also super unique and weird, but yeah, just like me. So I accept it. It's all good. But Raja Yoga is, like, for example, an example of it is Self-Realization Fellowship Mystery School. It's called the Mother Path, where you are focusing on the softness and the gentle qualities of Divine Mother. It's not as harsh as Builders of the Addendum, which is very father-oriented. It's a much different energy. I've done both schools, and it's a much different energy. I did not finish the lessons for Builders of the Addendum because it's like a 20-year school, and they don't tell you, but at the end of the lessons of 20 years, every week you have a lesson for 20 years, and at the end of it, they give you a PhD in metaphysics, and they'll never tell you that that's what you're working towards. I know someone who had it. I saw it. I held it in my hands. It was so freaking cool. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? And she was shocked as hell when she got it. So, yeah. So, all right. Basically, in India mostly, but in other parts of the world now, because Indian philosophies have been spreading through the world, people have used mantras and Tantra yoga. Tantra is mantras, it's kind of like affirmations, but chanting them. There's many, many, many mantras, and usually they're in Hindi, but you could even make your own up in your own language, even in light language. Why not? Tantra is like a yoga that people use to control the Kundalini energy, the sexuality. So without getting too graphic here, I've never done it. I've had no interest in it ever, really. But a lot of people swear by it. They think it's great. But it's basically holding yourself up in a cabin somewhere. Okay, it doesn't have to be a cabin. It can be anywhere. But, you're with your sexual partner and you hold the energy of being on the brink of orgasm for days. And you never have that emotional and physical release. To me, that just sounds like freaking torture. So I have no interest in it. But a lot of people actually swear by it and they love it. And that's how they've gotten their Kundalini to rise. Mine rose just fine on its own. It had nothing to do with Tantra. And I still had great sex. So, I mean, for me, that wasn't, I don't understand why people do that. But everybody has a different way of going about it. There's 1,000 roads to divine if there's 1,000 people. So that is one path. That is actually a very valid path for a lot of people. I wrote the word region. I have no idea what that means. That can't be what I wrote. Anyway, I'm going to skip that word. But yantra, I saw was another way when I was doing my research. I don't know if that means Sri Yantra or what a yantra is. Mantra, tantra, yantra. I don't know if we're just making up words at this point or if it was a typo. It might be something, I don't know. Yoga, there are physical yogas. Now, Raja Yoga there is exercises to do with it, but it's mostly exercising your mind, your breath, your body, keeping your spine super rigid while you meditate. And I did do Raja Yoga for years, and I was up to 4.5 hours sitting in silence and not able to move, I didn't care to move for 4.5 hours at a time. So that was pretty cool. It actually worked and it helped me on my spiritual path quite a lot. But meditation, just straight up meditation, doesn't have to be an Indian related thing. It could be, Kundalini is not like solely in India. Everyone on the planet has Kundalini. Babies, when they're born, have Kundalini energy risen automatically. As they grow, the Kundalini goes back down, but they need it, that life force, in order to survive. It's a natural thing. It's a functional thing. It's part of the creative force. So babies do have it risen, and that's why Sometimes babies will just start laughing, like look around the room and they start laughing. They pretty much look like, your grandpa with dementia, looking around the room, laughing at like nothing. Like babies and old people are like so much alike. It's so weird. They both wear diapers. Okay, we're not going into the comparison. We're not going into the comparisons now. But babies have that awareness, and they're very, they can see auras around people. That's why they cry around certain people. When they're really like this fresh newborns, they'll start crying if they see an evil person. My oldest saw a very famous preacher on TV. He was like on the news, and they showed a clip from his show. It wasn't Tammy Faye Baker's husband, but it was one of those guys. He was a worse one. He was just so condemning and that dark energy. And my kid, she was about 2 years old, and she said, "Ew, Mom, I can't look at him. Give me a hug." And she buried her face in my hair and said, "I can't look at him. He is evil. He's like the devil." I'm like, "Why? Why do you say that?" I think, Pat Robertson, that's who it was. I'm like, why? Why do you say it? He has a black aura. And I never discourage spirituality in my kids, and they aren't as aware as they used to be when they're very young, but it's true. Babies can see. The French have a saying, babies are born with really big wings because they're angels, but as their legs grow longer, their wings grow shorter. If you could take that as a spiritual thing, it could be like, their wings grow shorter and their Kundalini goes downward. But, so basically, I didn't write anything about babies on my list here. I just thought of that. See, I asked God to work through me so you guys will get all the true information. Let's see. What are some symbols in society that that come across as symbolize Kundalini energy? In Western society, because you think that you don't hear about it, so maybe only Indians have it. No, we all have it. In fact, on the front of every hospital and every medical building you'll ever come across in the United States and in allopathic medicine in the Western world, you will see a staff, or the symbol's like a staff, and it has like a round base at the bottom. That symbolizes the sacroiliac, and the staff that rises up represents the spine, or the Shushuma nadi, which is it's a kind of a secondary. It's not really secondary spine, but it's like a channel for the energy for when it rises. And it's right next to the spine. And the symbol has, I'm trying to do this from memory, at the top it has wings spreading out at the very top. And going up either side is a red and a blue, and they're going in opposite directions from the base of that all the way up. And sometimes they're snakes. Usually they're snakes. Sometimes they're just, red and blue spirals. And it kind of looks like DNA. So it's like DNA surrounding the spinal cord, or just like a staff. And the actual symbol of it, what the red means it's hot. The blue is cold. We're going to get into that and what that means in a minute. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And at the very top, there are wings that are spread like angel wings. What does that mean? It's the beginning of enlightenment when your Kundalini is fully awoke. When it's fully awakened, you feel like you're starting to grow wings. You're getting your angel wings back. Your legs don't grow shorter, so don't panic. But so it's called the caduceus, I think. I might not be pronouncing it right. It's a Latin word. Caduceus, maybe. And it's a very odd thing to have on the side of a medical building, a super, super deep, powerful spiritual symbol like that, right? But what it represents, most doctors probably don't even know. It relates back to the Greeks. I want to say it was Plato or maybe Aristotle. Hippocrates, duh, of course, Hippocratic Oath, Hippocrates. I think it was Hippocrates probably created the symbol. He probably had his Kundalini raised, and, it's kind of an all-inclusive, like to be holistic in your medicine practice, but that idea didn't really stick, did it? Now we go to different doctors for different things, and, well, that's not related. That's your eyeball, and that's your foot. Well, of course it's related. It's one body, duh. But anyway, oh, God, doctors are just practicing. They're just practicing. You can't get mad at someone for practicing something. And one day they'll make it. If you're a doctor out there, please don't be offended at my insane jokes. I'm just trying to be funny, but I do recognize that I think that we all need a holistic approach to health and well-being, and it's not, allopathic medicine has its place, but you know what? So does yoga, so does chiropractic sometimes, and everything does. Energy healing has its practice. But don't come to me for energy healing if you broke your damn leg. Go to a surgeon immediately, And there are certain things, I can't make, my asthma go away with energy medicine. I've gotten it to, get better a little bit. But, there's certain things you just need. Like, I need the inhaler. I used to take 10 inhalers. I used to have 10 medicines. And now I only have one, and I don't take it all the time. I barely take it. This week I have more, and I don't know. I think it's an Ascension symptom. And it's also, as I told you guys in the body syndromes episode, it's like also crying syndrome, So I'm an empath, and I'm constantly channeling other people's sadness and their grief. And, and I stopped it now. I have a way to heal people without taking it into my body, but I still take it in from my children. I still take on half their burden. It's conscious, and I know it, and I can channel it out faster than they do. And I'm their mom, and it's just a little thing I do. So another symbol or way to see this in society is, let's see here. On the Pharaohs' hats in Egypt, if you look very closely, you will see that there is a serpent coming out of their third eye or from the crown of their head. Did you guys ever notice that? Why the hell is there a snake on top of his head, coming out of his eye? Is he a reptilian? That's freaky shit, right? No, it's a symbol for the Kundalini energy, because the Pharaoh is an enlightened being, or at least started on the path of enlightenment. Having your Kundalini raised all the way to the top does not make you an enlightened being. And if you have to ask, then for a fact you're not, If you have to ask, you can't afford it. And if you have to ask, you're probably not enlightened, right? Not all the way anyway. That's why I say we're all in the process of awakening. We're not all fully awakened yet. Some of us are. Some people can go their whole lives without any spiritual anything. And then all of a sudden, boom, in 1 minute, they're just suddenly enlightened out of nowhere, and they understand everything. Kundalini raises, and that's it, baby. But does that mean that you're completely enlightened and you've arrived and there's no more work to do and you're a spiritual master now that you're Kundalini rose? No. I was like, I'll tell you about my situation in a little bit. So I have 2 more symbols to discuss, and then I'm going to tell you what the symptoms are of a Kundalini awakening. So the Pharaoh's hats, they've got the snake that comes out of the crown chakra or the third eye. You've got the caduceus on every medical building in America. I would venture to guess throughout the world, but I only know in my country. I've seen it on every medical building I've ever been to. People put on their business cards. It's pretty crazy. But another thing is, do you remember the story of Moses when he went to free his people? He went to free the Jews. And he was back-talking the Pharaoh, basically, and he said, well, my God is more powerful than your God, and I'll prove it. And here's a funny little neat parlor trick, is he grabbed his staff, which was apparently a wooden staff, and then he threw it down and it turned into a snake. And it crawled over to the Pharaoh, and the Pharaoh got freaked out, and that was one of the reasons why he let the Jewish people go. Well, I call it a neat little parlor trick. I mean, I think the story might possibly have to do with, the symbology of it has to do with Kundalini. But in reality, there was a snake in the desert that when you picked it up, it mimicked a stick. It got all stiff, like it was an actual piece of wood. And it looked like a piece of wood, so no one knew the difference. And then when you threw it down, it felt like it's time it can free itself, so it could just like slither on away. So it's like a weird little parlor trick that Moses discovered. I don't think it was an actual piece of wood that turned into an actual snake. I really think it's one of those snakes that do that. It'd be so fun to have one of those, though, right? How weird would that be? Anyway, Jesus said, be wise as serpents in the Bible. Wait, what? Why I don't know. I would rather be wise as an owl, right? I mean, owls are the ones that have glasses and a thinking cap on, or like, the cap for the cap and gown, like graduation. When you see owls, I mean, of all the animals in the animal kingdom, you see owls with the freaking giant glasses and their eyes are huge, right? Like they've been studying so much, they've hurt their eyes and now they can't see, right? Like they have myopia because they've read too many books. Like, but Jesus said, be wise as serpents. Well, what the hell does that mean? That sounds like he was on an acid trip, right? Dude, you should be wise as serpents. Like, what the fuck? Okay, what are you on about, dude? Like, really? He's having one of them visions again. I think we better just let him be. I mean, really, do you think that, they hung on his every word, or were they kind of like giving each other looks and rolling their eyes behind his back at some of the weird stuff that came out of his mouth? Like, be wise as serpents. What the hell? But I think what he meant was be wise as the people who have the serpent risen, the Kundalini at the top of their head. Because they're more enlightened. They see a higher viewpoint. They're living in another plane of existence than the rest of humanity. And I think that's what he meant. And speaking of serpents, there's an extremely famous serpent. And I could do a whole show on serpents. It's like probably y'all don't want to hear it. But I already did another episode about living in Egypt with Grandma Marion. It was, I don't know, it was last Saturday or 2 Saturdays ago. Yeah, there's too many snakes. The show has gotten a bit snaky. So, like Jez's room in Peep Show. I don't know. That's a weird reference, but in Superhand's grandma's room, he keeps the door shut because it is a bit snaky. There's like 10 snakes on the floor randomly. So, in the Garden of Eden, what happened when Eve was approached by a snake, by a serpent? The serpent told her to eat from the tree of knowledge, and when she bit into the apple, she had complete knowledge. Well, that seems to me quite a bit like a Kundalini rising. It's symbology for Kundalini, I think. I've always thought that. Well, as soon as I learned about Kundalini, that is. So we do have a lot of stuff. There's a lot. St. Peter slaying the dragon. That story. slaying the dragon. I mean, the rising serpent, the rising dragon, even the rising phoenix, that all might possibly, the Leviathan. It feels like a Leviathan when it starts. It's crazy. It is crazy. So I started the show. I decided to do this one today. I asked my higher guidance, and I was given the message, it's time to release this information. And it's okay for me to talk about my personal experience. And this one might end up being a longer show. Might be a 90-minute show. Because my experience is freaking wild. But actually, you know what? I think this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this almost like a two-parter show. They're both going to be standalone, but I'm going to do this tomorrow. I think I've decided I'm going to tell you guys my Kundalini experience tomorrow, so I could give you the rest of what can you expect during your own Kundalini experience. Because tomorrow I'm going to tie this in with my Grandma Marion's story about Kundalini. Because there's different ways to do it, and there's a whole other discussion that needs to be done. So tomorrow, I think we're going to do that. I apologize now if you're disappointed that you have to wait one extra day to hear this story, but I will give you the story tomorrow. So, what does it feel like when your Kundalini is getting ready? Well, for weeks and months leading up to it, you're going to feel little things crawling on your skin, like you are like heroin addicts. They have like itchy skin, or they feel like bugs are crawling on them, and they freak out when they're coming off the heroin or other drugs. The same thing. All opioids do this too. And you feel like there's bugs crawling, you look and there's nothing there. Well, Kundalini energy does that. It is an awakening symptom that a lot of people are having right now, actually. Feels like there's like a caterpillar crawling on your skin or on your feet or on your hands and arms. You look down, you're like, oh crap. No, there's nothing there. What the heck was that? Sometimes it feels like something is touching you. Sometimes it feels like something is grabbing your feet. Sometimes it feels like there is a giant hand wrapped around your head. That's all Kundalini. It's Kundalini energy. I mean, sometimes it's people from heaven, but usually they give you a gentle touch on your forehead, or they'll stroke your foot lightly, and it's obvious. It feels like someone's touching you. Usually it's a cold feeling. It's not like warm, like someone's alive. It's like a cold feeling, but it's comforting. But Kundalini can be kind of freaky at first, when it's starting to rise up. And right now, everyone's probably feeling this. So be aware. And then I'm seeing stuff flying around my room right now just because my Kundalini is raised. And it's like more active because I'm like, in this process with you guys. And now that I'm talking about it, now that I've had it raised, and I've had it raised for the majority of the time in the past 18 years. But when I went through my divorce, I'm sure it went back down. I'm sure of it because it was such a dark period of time in my life. And when you're not keeping up your spiritual energy, it can go back down for a while and become not really dormant, but it kind of goes back to take a nap. It's not sleeping forever, but it's taking a nap. So I have a list of symptoms queued up, and I'm going to give you a website. It's called chakras.info. chakras.info. They have an article on Kundalini Awakening. And so I'm going to read a little bit of the article for you. If you are starting to have a Kundalini Awakening, where it's going to be, you're going to slay the serpent, or slay the dragon is another word for it, or when your serpent is going to arise, and it feels like an enormous frickin' serpent inside your body. It is a freaky feeling, and if this happens to you, don't be scared, don't be alarmed, don't try to force it back down. You have to focus on your third eye at first. If it reaches the level of your third eye, then you focus on your crown. Or when it's about to come to your third eye, then you focus on your crown. But because we're now going into the fifth dimension, I would say focus on your eighth chakra, 18 inches above your head. And try to pull the energy consciously all the way to 18 inches above your head. Okay, we're going to go over tomorrow more about the way that the energy flows after it's awakened, in addition to my story about when it happened to me. And the reason why I started the show is this today is because I read a comment by someone who seemed like she was doing, really good with her spiritual knowledge. And she had like a 38-minute episode on Higher Self, and like 10 minutes in, she said that she's never had a Kundalini awakening, and she looks forward to it, but she's a little bit scared and freaked out by it because that means you start speaking in tongues and thrashing about on the floor. I had to stop the video because I was laughing so hard. I was crying. I couldn't even see. I've been to a Pentecostal church. I used to go just because it was super freaking interesting to me. These people were being possessed by a spirit a lot different than having your Kundalini rise. You don't thrash about on the floor when you have a Kundalini awakening. It can be so strong that it knocks you on the floor. But you're not going to be like thrashing about and screaming in languages that nobody understands. You're not going to just suddenly be like, blah, 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 it was like, I don't know. It's just so weird. I mean, I don't even think, honestly, that when I was in the Pentecostal church that they were even speaking light languages. The languages just sound like a bunch of babble, ba 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 da da ba da ba da ba da ba. It was like not even coherent. It was a bunch of babble, and it was coming from a spirit that inhabited the body. I was standing in a group of people, and the spirit almost inhabited my body, and I was like, "Oh hell no, hell to the no! I did not know you. You did not introduce yourself. You did not tell me that you're going to jump in my body so I could just like fly around on the ground and act like a fool and start saying this random language." It didn't feel like an angel to me, not at all. It might have been a demon. It didn't really feel like a demon though. I just think it's a random frickin' maybe a nature spirit or something. I have no idea what that is. I could ask my higher guidance more. I haven't even done that yet, but I mean, it's not at all a Kundalini awakening, trust me. Otherwise, I would have had my Kundalini awaken 30 years ago, and I was not ready for that. It did not happen, but those people did not seem overly enlightened to me. They're very sweet, very loving people, very close-knit society, but they weren't overly enlightened, not over other people. They were questioning. They were very open-minded to questioning every single word in the Bible and having massively huge debates about it. Really, really neat church, but really cool people. But enlightened, not, I don't know. I don't think so. Some of the people seemed very enlightened, but the majority of people just seemed like average people that you'd see on the street. So I know that that's not, it's something that maybe it's happened in one or two cases, but it's not something that happens in every case. So don't be freaked out. Like you'd be riding the subway one day and like tomorrow, oh yeah, well tomorrow I'm going to be on the subway and then suddenly I'm going to be, pissing myself and speaking in tongues and babbling as I roll around the car, roll around the subway car, just, knocking into strangers. It ain't going to happen like that, babe. I mean, it was like so funny when I heard that. I'm like, no, you're so adorable. But that's like not what happens. Don't panic. It's so much more subtle than that. Some people have been knocked to their knees or knocked to their feet or knocked off their feet and they fall to the ground, but they don't thrash about. It does feel freaking weird. Like when what happened to me, I just wouldn't even move. I was terrified. I was like, what the hell? I was scared it was going to go the opposite way and then it wouldn't rise ever again. I was, But I'm going to go, okay, so some of the sensations, some of the things that happen, what happens during a Kundalini awakening. You will, in the beginning, you're going to start to feel tingling sensations like small electric currents going through your body. Some of them are hot. Some of them are cold. Sometimes you'll feel hot and cold at the same time. Sometimes you'll just feel electric. Like I said, it might even feel like there's bugs crawling on your skin for like weeks before the big thing happens, you know? But so the tingling sensations, the currents, electrical currents, and after, by the way, your Kundalini is raised, you're going to get these currents all over your body. You can be feeling flashes and tingling all over your body. It's really incredible. Actually, it's a fun and joyous occasion. So don't be scared of it. Be really grateful and humble that it's happening. So it will particularly go from the bottom of the spine up to the head and along the back when the big thing happens. You'll get sensations of warmth and cold along the spine. Remember the caduceus, the hot and the cold, the red and the blue. What I discovered is one of them goes one direction and one of them goes the other direction. And I noticed that the serpent itself, the Kundalini energy itself, it tends to go clockwise. At least in me, it went clockwise. Now, maybe it's going to go counterclockwise in a man. Maybe it's gender specific that. I don't know. Maybe it's the same for everybody. I don't know. But I know that no two Kundalini awakening experiences are alike in the whole planet. And I know that if you have one and then you have another one later, they're never going to be the same as each other. You have one that the first one is never, you're not going to be able to forget it, and you're never going to experience it again, only the one time, like that. I mean, you can still raise your Kundalini, but it's not going to be like that one. You will have vibrations in your limbs and your arms and your limbs, arms, and legs. It's like, wait, what? Are you an octopus? What limbs are we talking about outside of arms and legs? Okay, I'm reading this directly from this chakras.info website. Like, wait a minute. Vibrations in the arms and legs, we'll just say, and throughout your body, actually. You'll have intense heat propagating in the body, and it will be growing and going up the spine, that heat. I mean, when I first felt it, I kind of knew it was happening, but I was kind of scared, and I told my husband, and he, thank God, was able to tell me what was happening. I kind of felt like, what if I spontaneously combust? So I was a little scared of that, but probably not what's going to happen, so don't panic. Don't think that. But if you do have that thought, you're going to laugh because you're going to remember that I said that. If you've heard this before yours happens. And so just remember, it's probably not going to happen. You're probably not spontaneously combusting. You're probably okay. If you're really scared, put some water on yourself. Put yourself out. You will have experiences of illumination or psychic perceptions, like something that would be a mystical experience or paranormal sensitivity, like I'm talking about it. My Kundalini is raised now, and it's like I'm seeing like things fly around my room. I'm seeing like bits and pieces, like looks like angel wings, and it's just things that aren't really there, but they're really there. They're just there on another plane of existence, like the fourth or fifth dimension. Most likely the fourth dimension. Well, actually, I'm in the fifth, so probably it might be the fourth and fifth. And once my third eye vision sight goes more like clear, becomes more clear, and once I'm able to raise my vibration significantly higher yet, then probably these will take more form. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know for real, but it's a guess. It's an educated guess, right? So, states of ecstasy or bliss, where you're just like, oh yeah, you just feel like you never want to not feel this feeling. It is an incredible feeling. But they say on this website they'll be mixed with lower depressive states. For me, it wasn't, but it's a possibility. It didn't. I just felt completely happy and blissed out. Once I knew what was happening, I knew it was going to be okay. And of course, I was naive. I'm like, I'm going to get enlightened today. Woohoo! Let's go. Ride 'em, cowboy. Ride it all the way up my spine. But no, it didn't work like that. I mean, I was more enlightened and more insights came and more things became made clear. But it wasn't like, I'm awakened now. Blowing on my nails, rubbing it on my lapel. No, that's not. Maybe for like 2 or 3 seconds, I literally did that in front of my husband, and he burst out laughing. It was freaking hilarious to him. He was like, yeah, right. We're not enlightened just because this happened. Anyway, yeah, I got a story about his Kundalini awakening too. It happened. Mine spontaneously started his. And mine was spontaneous as well. So, hopefully, it'd be cool if I sparked your Kundalini. So, focus on your crown chakra to get it all the way up your spine if this starts to happen to you tonight after you listen to this. So, just be aware. Just keep breathing deep. Smile. Just be really, really in your power when that happens. Just breathe deep. Go into a meditative posture or pose. If it's too hard, go lay down. You're not going to break or crack if you don't, if you move during this. It also means you don't throw yourself on the floor and create a bunch of, don't be an attention hog. My Kundalini is rising. I had like the weirdest thought in my mind right there. And the weirdest cartoon image of a guy, thrashing about, my Kundalini rising, attention seekers. But, for the most part, you're going to be okay. And, like for me, what happened to me, it took like an hour to 2 hours, I think. Might have only been 10 minutes, but my perception was super off. And I didn't move a muscle at all. It was pretty cool. But I was good at meditating. Do your meditations, man. Do your meditations. Sit through biofeedback machine or practice mindfulness if you don't want to meditate, but do something. Because when this happens, and it's inevitable, it's gonna happen to you at some point. When this happens, you're gonna want to be able to handle it okay. If you want to go lay down, go lay down. It's not gonna affect it. It's not gonna stop it. So don't panic. Breathe. Focus on your crown. And when it's approaching your head, focus on 18 inches above your head at your next chakra. Because we're moving into the 5th. You're going to need all this stuff online. All right? And don't try to force it, by the way. But we're going to talk about that more tomorrow. All right. You're going to feel a lot of excitement. Like, after it's done, you'll be like, woo-hoo! And you're not going to be able to sleep for a while. It won't be easy anyway. And then, plus, you're going to get just the after. When you have a massive earthquake, you get aftershocks. It's the same thing with Kundalini. You're going to get after waves. You're going to get waves coming up over you. Like, you'll almost feel like energy waves, like crashing over you. And just, it's like an incredible feeling. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it other than that. It just feels like energy waves. I don't know if you've ever experienced any kind of bliss at all, even if your Kundalini wasn't raised, and that feeling of, and you just feel so good and nothing can ruin that vibe. It times a million when this happens. So, the signs of awakening Kundalini are not mandatory, and they're not all present during the process. Even though the complete awakening of this force tends to happen in like all of a sudden, or, it's not just, it can be gradual. It says the activation of Kundalini can take place more progressively. And so it can be sudden and intense or more progressively. When it goes all the way up, it's going to be kind of intense. But it could be very progressive and very slow as well. Like I said before, everyone is unique and everyone is different, and it's every single Kundalini experience is completely different from everyone else's. when I share mine, you're going to be blown away. I know I was. I was like, are you kidding me right now? But mine was, yeah. I'm going to give you a teaser for tomorrow because you got to come back and listen to hear it for tomorrow. But my Kundalini awakening happened when I had a near-death experience. And it was automatic. Like, I died in my husband's arms. Marijuana saved my life. And then when I came out of it, and I came out of it, so now I'm not dead. Now I'm high AF, and all of a sudden my Kundalini spontaneously went up. And it gets better than that even. There's even more. So tomorrow, you guys, I love you so much, and thank you for listening to the information and taking it in, and for, participating in my crazy world that I talk about in my podcast. I realize I'm eccentric, and this stuff is a little off the wall or out there in outer space, literally sometimes. But we're all unique individuals. We are all spiritual beings having a human experience. And sometimes we're spiritual beings forgetting we're spiritual beings, humans having a spiritual experience, if that makes sense. But we are all really, precious to the divine. We're all important, and we all play a part in a role here. And we're all now playing a part in a role in the ascension of all of humanity. So if I'm letting my freak flag fly, you can too. You don't need to doubt yourself spiritually anymore. We're growing up, babe, and you're beyond that. Don't doubt yourself. If you have a telepathic communication with someone, don't poo-poo it. Don't say, well, that doesn't happen. That's not real. Probably did happen. Probably is real. Don't cast your pearls before swine, lest they be trampled. So don't tell non-spiritual, unawakened people. They'll just say you're crazy and judge you, and you don't need that. But at the same time, just, you know what you know. You saw what you saw. What happened, happened. You know what I mean? It is what it is. This is the time to stop doubting and go higher with that vibration. Be confident. Feel love. Feel gratitude. Be humble. I know I keep saying this stuff, but it's, it's a reminder. It's a reminder. It's a reminder for me as much as it is for you, to be honest with you. So, somebody added me on Instagram today, and I wanted to say thank you to Myra Beloved. I know you listen every day, and I'm so happy you found me on Spotify. And I want to say thank you. I'm really grateful to have you along on my crazy journey. I'm happy I'm starting to get emails and messages from Twitter and from Instagram, and it's amazing. I'm so happy. I'm happy that I'm able to help you guys, and that I'm reaching out, and I'm there for you. It's all I'm doing. Like I said, this is a labor of love. I'm recording all my information and memories before I forget them. And for my future grandkids and their grandkids. Because you just never know what tomorrow holds. And I don't know. While I'm talking about all this, I feel like I am flying. I feel like I am so high right now. And I'm not even high, not even a little bit. I'm completely, not completely sober. I did have a Heineken, full disclosure, a little bit ago, because my back was hurting so bad, and there's no opioids in this whole place. unless I'm going to go shoot heroin or go get cocaine, which I'm not going to do. But I had one Heineken, and that was it. So, but while I'm talking about this, my Kundalini is raising so much that I can't feel my body anymore. So, I mean, either way, mission accomplished, right? I mean, I wish I could just walk down the store and get a Vicodin or a hydrocodone or something, but you can't do that in Ecuador. You could do it in Guatemala. Really easy. You give your kid $1 and say, hey, go buy me a Vicodin, kid. In Guatemala. I mean, the laws are, well, I don't even think they care about the laws, to be honest. They have no real respect for the government there. The people do what they want, and everyone seems to be super happy, actually, for the most part. But anyway, wildly off topic. Sorry about that. But yeah, no, just my talking about this, I'm like raising up. You know, it's cool. So in case I just sparked your own Kundalini awakening, just remember, breathe deep, focus on 18 inches above your head to your 8th chakra. And just watch where the energy goes. Just watch it. Observe, be the observer. Pull it in, breathe out any negativity or fear or doubts you might feel at that moment, because it's pretty intense. It could be a lot intense. For me, it was incredibly intense. I mean, not so intense. I rolled around the floor. I stayed in my chair and I was sitting upright when mine happened. I never left that chair, not until it was over. But tomorrow, you're going to hear a lot more about that. I love you guys very, very much. I'm happy to have you with me on our journey that we're all on together. But for now, I'm going to go. And I'm signing off with peace and joy and the high vibes of the holy 5th dimension. Until next time. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.